Hi, and welcome back to Brain Boogers. I'm MJ, your host, and I'm so glad you're here for another episode. Today we're continuing our dive into the 5 major personality traits, starting with conscientiousness, which, I believe, carries the energy of your personality and shapes how you navigate life. As I was preparing for this episode, I kept coming back to a few key questions. How does someone improve conscientious behavior? What does being conscientious mean? Are we already exhibiting conscientiousness without realizing it? And what mindset helps us grow, not just in conscientiousness, but in all traits that make us who we are? If these questions have ever crossed your mind, or even if they haven't yet, this episode is for you. So let's dig in. Let's start with the basics. What does it mean to be conscientious? At its core, it's about being responsible, organized, and intentional. But it's more than just checking off the to-do lists or showing up on time. Conscientiousness is about how we show up for ourselves and others. Think of it as the engine of your canoe. It powers how you interact through the other traits: agreeableness, neuroticism, openness, and extroversion, as well as your basic pH. You know, your beliefs, affects, social engagement, imagination, cognitive processes, and physical manifestations. And without it, the whole system feels a little off. But here's the thing: conscientiousness isn't just about what you do, it's about why you do it. It's about being thoughtful and deliberate in your actions, even when no one's watching. Let me give you an example. Think about a time when you had a big project or goal. Maybe it was finishing a degree, planning an event, or even just organizing your home. What made it successful? Chances are it wasn't luck. It was your ability to stay focused, plan ahead, and follow through. That's conscientiousness in action. Now let's flip the script. Think about a time when things didn't go as planned. Maybe you missed a deadline or forgot an important detail. What happened there? Were you distracted, overwhelmed, or maybe you didn't have a clear plan? This isn't about blame. It's about awareness. When we understand where we fell short, we can start to make changes. Now that we know what conscientiousness is, let's talk about how we practice it in our daily lives. One of the simplest ways to be more conscientious is to pay attention to the little things, the small, seemingly insignificant acts that actually make a big difference. Let me give you a few examples. When I'm at the grocery store, I swipe my card while the cashier is still bagging and ringing up my items. That way, by the time they're done, my payment is processed, and the line keeps moving. When I'm driving, I try to be mindful of how my actions affect others. Am I cutting someone off? Am I blocking an intersection? These small acts of awareness can make a big difference. And here's a fun one. Think about how we mimic others. From the way we dress to the food we eat, we're constantly influenced by the people around us. As kids, we learned through imitation. Monkey see, monkey do. And as adults, we still rely on that instinct. We use it when we are heading to unfamiliar as well as safe places, when we're in line or in a line dance. Children do it when they're learning how to eat and socialize, even taking a moment to consider if the decision they're making is right or not. Even our vocal inflections, and whether we speak high key or with vocal fry. What we wear, when we wear it, how we wear it, what foods we eat, what restaurants we patronize, what vehicles that we drive, what brands that we support. In all of these, we look to others. So if you want to see more conscientiousness in the world, start by being the example. If you want others to be more mindful, show them what mindfulness looks like. Want better communication? Practice it yourself. It might sound cheesy, but it's true. You have to be the change you want to see. This is a combination of active and passive influences, a combination of nature and nurture, environment and effort. Be what you want to see, and share to help your neighbors, friends, and family to be more cognizant and aware of those changes and culture, helping others welcome conversations about sticky subjects so they'll no longer be sticky. Even asking yourself what we consider to be a sticky subject for anyone to discuss or bring up with us. We need to determine why these issues are labeled as such. Avoid taking out your lack of control on the next individual you see. Approach ourselves with love, forgiveness, and grace, and grow. Call out that thing you lack and work on it, be it time management, financial management, emotional management, social management. Whatever it is, give it attention with love and make progress. If we continue to actively avoid what we've been needing to give attention, then we can only expect its health to dwindle and decay, from the money in your account to your relationships. Let's shift gears and talk about the mindset that helps us grow in conscientiousness, and really in all areas of life. It starts with love and grace. Here's the thing, beating yourself up doesn't help you grow. Trust me, I've tried. For years, I held myself to impossibly high standards and then tore myself down when I didn't meet them. But you know what I learned? Growth doesn't come from self criticism, it comes from self compassion. This doesn't mean I needed to give up my expectations, more so that I needed to reassess my expectations and my ability to follow through on my own or through external resources. I needed my inner voice to be supportive instead of thinking that I could scare myself into growth. It's like that scene in Good Omens on Amazon Prime where the demon, Crowley, torments their plants and yells at them to grow. And they do with beautiful, full, broad green leaves while trembling in fear. Obviously, this is unsustainable. As I was amid writing my first book from the perspective of my 20s, I found that my commentary on my writings was rough, cold, and lacking compassion. I was harsh and unforgiving and judgmental as I analyzed the poems and musings. Like a person out of step with the realities of living, I was telling my younger self to get over it and change your thinking. And while writing, I felt like I needed to have compassion on myself, and because I needed to learn self compassion, I sought books on grace and personal uplift and to learn the who, what, how, where, when, why of thinking. I was trained to manage other people's businesses, money, and matters, not to engage in deep personal management. I mean, sure, the church attempted to inculcate its dogma through the fire and brimstone preaching, which failed to answer many of my deepest questions, but I felt like there was a different angle that I needed to take. Like I'd get a breakthrough if I handled myself with kid gloves, and acknowledging a common theme that you're a kid inside an aging body. I needed to talk to the kid. For example, while getting a flu shot and bracing for the sting of the needlepoint, I was talking with the nurse when she stated, "All done." I looked at my arm, still expecting the needle to be pulling out, and she had already administered the shot and was putting away the needle. I told her I was amazed by her approach, and she was like, "I deal with kids all day. Adults are just big kids." So remember, talk to yourself the way you wanted someone to address you. Deal with yourself the way you wanted someone to address your younger self. You're still dealing with the kid version of you, no matter how old you are. And while that may imply a fixed mindset for some, it should illuminate the chance for growth mindset adoption in others. My friends would often ask me why I was so hard on myself, and the only answer I could think of is because I thought that's what I needed to do. You see, in church, the indoctrination was strong, as well as the perpetuated deleterious concept of perfectionism. These together fueled my unrelenting drive while perpetuating a fear of falling out of grace with God and government. It would take seeking clinical support and the aid of my friends to highlight that while I was great with giving grace to other people, there was opportunity to give myself grace. I approached this with mixed feelings. While I'd start improving on the mental fortitude, I was unsure how to use loving language with myself because I held myself to an unreasonably high standard while not communicating with the same love as I would to others. Think of it like this: when you're learning something new, you don't expect to be perfect right away. You give yourself time to practice, to make mistakes, and to improve. Why should personal growth be any different? Now, keeping in mind that the poison is in the dose, we may be creating a self fulfilling prophecy when we are overly conscientious. Some ways I found myself being overly conscientious have manifested as perfectionism, where I often felt like nothing was quite good enough, leading to endless tweaking and second guessing my work. Also, fear of looking incompetent, even when I'd shown expertise, caused me to obsess over details or delay finishing tasks. In overworking and being burned out, I would push myself to meet every deadline, take on even extra responsibilities, and rarely let myself rest. I also had difficulty delegating, even when I was overwhelmed because I trusted my own standards more than others. There was also rigidity and inflexibility where I struggled to adapt to external changes or go with the flow, feeling anxious if plans shifted or things aren't done the right way. I would have trouble compromising, mostly in personal relationships and also some professional relationships. And also, there was just a difficulty of letting go. I would often hold on to minor errors or setbacks for too long, ruminating over what could have been done better instead of moving forward. Once I recognized these expressions in myself, I used some strategies like setting realistic standards, delegating and developing trust in others, taking moments to adapt to new experiences, and also scheduling time to do nothing. This all to bring my conscientiousness into a healthier balance. Instead of allowing my conscientiousness to be an impediment, I realize it is a superpower that, like any strength, needs balance. When I give myself permission to be imperfect, vulnerable, flexible, and human, I felt better and built stronger connections with others. And the most important thing for me is practicing self compassion. One practice that helped me is called Ho'oponopono. It's an ancient Hawaiian method of reconciliation and forgiveness. The idea is to heal relationships, not just with others, but with yourself and the universe. At its core, Ho'oponopono is about four simple phrases: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. You can say these to yourself, to others, or even to situations that feel unresolved. It's a powerful way to let go of guilt, resentment, and negativity. For me, it's become a daily practice. In the morning, I reflect and set my intentions. Throughout the day, I use it to stay mindful and grounded. And at night, I end with gratitude. It's simple, and it's made a huge difference in how I approach life and my own personal growth. Pesky perfectionism can be a difficult booger to pick. Difficult, and not impossible. Here are some ways to tackle perfectionism on your journey toward balanced conscientiousness. 1. You can do the good enough challenge. You pick one task today, maybe an email, a daily report, or even a home chore, and intentionally aim for good enough instead of perfect. When you finish, resist the urge to tweak or redo it. Notice how it feels and remind yourself that the world didn't end. Try setting a time limit. For any task that tends to eat up your time because you want it to be flawless, like editing content, replying to emails, or prepping a presentation, set a timer. When the timer goes off, wrap it up, even if it's not perfect. This builds trust in your ability to deliver quality work without over investing time. Try celebrating imperfection. Firstly, perfection is a personal construct that doesn't exist in the same form for the other 8 billion humans and countless other life forms. At the end of each day, jot down one thing you did imperfectly, but still got done. This could be a typo you let slide, a meeting where you spoke up even if you stumbled, or a workout you finished without hitting every rep. Celebrate these moments as wins. Try sharing before you're ready. If you're working on content, a project, or even a new idea, share it with a trusted friend or colleague before you feel it's finished. Ask for feedback. And this helps you get comfortable with vulnerability and realize that others often value your work even when you see flaws. You can try reframing mistakes. And this one happens to be my superpower, according to my therapist. When you catch yourself ruminating over a mistake, pause and write down one thing you learned from it. Then, write down how it might actually help you or someone else in the future. This shifts your focus from self criticism to growth. Try practicing self compassion. Whenever you're being hard on yourself, try saying, I'm doing my best and that's enough. You can even write this on a sticky note and keep it visible at your workspace as a gentle reminder. Try letting others take the lead. This one happens to be a difficult one for me. So, if you're used to being in control, try stepping back in a group project or family activity. Let someone else make decisions, even if their way is different from yours. Notice how it feels to let go and trust the process. And here's a bonus. If you meditate, try a guided meditation focused on self acceptance or letting go of control. Even a few minutes can help reset your mindset. Before we wrap up, let's get practical. How do we actually build conscientiousness? Here are some steps you can start today. Practice self awareness by taking a few minutes each day to reflect on your actions and decisions. When you make a mistake, own it, forgive yourself, and move forward. Set clear goals. Break big goals into smaller steps and use tools like time blocking or checklists to stay on track. Develop routines, such as a morning and evening routines that can help you to stay organized and focused. Prioritize emotional regulation by using mindfulness or meditation to manage stress and stay balanced. Track your progress by keeping a journal or habit tracker to celebrate small wins and stay motivated. Build empathy by practicing gratitude and recognize the contributions of others. And here's a fun challenge for you. Pick one of these steps and try it for a week. At the end of the week, reflect on how it made you feel and what you learned. Small steps can lead to big changes. Thank you for joining me today on Brain Boogerz. I hope this episode gave you some new insights into conscientiousness and how it can shape your life. In the next episode, we're going to dig deep into other mental frameworks and how Ho'oponopono can be useful for developing agreeableness as we build and reinforce our CANOE. You won't want to miss it. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might find it helpful. Until next time, take care of yourself, practice love and grace, and remember, forward motion is always possible. I'm MJ, and I'll see you next time on Brain Boogerz.